Hi there, Alex, and welcome to episode 182 of the ADHD Adults podcast. I'm James Brown, the man who is as up and down as the Wi-Fi network he cancelled, but then still expected to run all the Alexas in the house. And as always, I'm joined by Dr. Alex Connor, who's generally more up and down, but only because his research into the English royal line got him as far as the Grand Old Duke of York, and less said about him, the better. And we still have just about Mrs AuDHD, who is generally just down like a depressive seagull watching somebody eat the chips it'll never get the chance to steal. Alex, hi.
Salutations, James. Like salutations, but because
we got it.
So by now, is this like four episodes in? And it's the first one that's noticeably like irked me. The tiny little blackened soul inside me got really irked by that.
Chipping away at your soul.
Yeah, what's left? Charred, blackened soul. And Sam, hi.
Hello. Sorry, I'm wearing sunglasses. The lights are bright, and I couldn't cope much.
That's okay for everybody listening that can't see them. They now know you're wearing sunglasses. It's like closed captions, only I have to say it. Anyway. Like the last couple of episodes, we've dispensed with writing anything, not obviously because we're lazy, but because insert reason here. And our special guest for today's episode, based on the many, many people who've asked about how she is Mrs AuDHD. So let's get to it. Alex, do you have a question for her?
I do, yes. And it's a question from me, not one sent in by somebody else, Sam, which is,
that's interesting.
Apropos. Right then. Our listeners, stroke viewers for the YouTubers, know you maintain solid boundaries. That's kind of what you're known for, I think, and self-care.
Yeah.
Bordering on selfishness, healthy work-life balance. Has anything gone wrong for you this year? Is this going to be quick?
Yeah, it has. I guess I'm paying for being massively overproductive, which I've always been able to be, like ridiculously productive. And I think I was probably in burnout for over a year before I got COVID, and then recovered from it and got back to work and carried on trying to do all the things that I could do, and then just hit a brick wall and haven't really been able to fully peel myself off that brick wall, really. So yeah, it's been really, really shit. And I had a little operation as well, which has hampered my recovery a little bit as well. And I thought we talked about burnout a lot. I didn't really know a lot about it until I was forced into it. I thought it would be a linear recovery. I thought that you start off with like little bits of burnout, and then it gets worse and worse and worse, and then you hit the brick wall. I didn't realize that I could be simmering in and out of burnout, in burnout, but different stages throughout the year, and then hit the brick wall. I thought it was linear, and it's really, really not. And I thought it would be a linear recovery as well, and it's really not, which makes sense, doesn't it? I'm going to have good days and bad days.
Obviously I want to make this about me. Obviously, when we did my episode, which by now will have probably had the lowest listening figures of any episode we've done, but I talked about how the stimulants in me had masked that tiredness, that exhaustion, which actually just meant I pushed harder. I can't remember, because it was fucking 6 months ago. Yes, a good thing. Kind of when the absolute can't move tiredness started. But do you think in that lead up period that taking the stimulant kind of masked any of that tiredness?
I don't know. It's difficult to say because they make me tired. They don't. I know with you when they kick in, you feel like you've got energy. I feel the opposite. I feel sleepy. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I did stop. Of course, I've been trying everything, and I did stop taking them for a while because I thought, maybe they are giving me energy, and I just felt worse. I just couldn't do anything at all. So I've been taking just a really low dose. I don't know. I've been experimenting a little bit, but I don't know what it is. And I was saying last time, I don't know if I said it on the podcast, that I've always been a morning person. Like first thing in the morning, I'm like, ding, ready to go. And now it takes me so long to kind of warm up. What?
Ding. There's so many dings in that last 30 seconds. I mean, the ding required a ding. It does take a while to warm you up, I'll be honest. But you are sometimes ready to go first thing in the morning.
Yeah, and like I said last time as well, I look fine. Like with ADHD, I don't know actually if we said this on the recording or not, so I'll say it again.
Yeah, we
But
did.
like with ADHD, I look like I'm fine, and people see me and they're like, "Oh, you look great. Oh, you're better now." And I'm like, "No, I know I look fine, but I still can't do the things that I used to do."
And
Yeah.
it's about the amount, is it? So like it's about rationing. Is that how it works?
Yes. So I do something called pacing. I've had lots of really good advice from wonderful people in our community that I really appreciate, or from people who have got things like ME or
yeah.
long COVID or lots of, I can't think of the thing.
And are we allowed to talk about that you've explored that it could be that as well, or because this is
So
it's
the GP
quite
was
severe, isn't it?
Yeah, the GP was good. I mean, I've been sent for all of the fucking tests, and I'm going for another blood test today. And they were keeping in mind long COVID, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. I can't remember the other things. I can't remember.
Laziness.
Laziness, yeah.
But remember, like, we should point out from a psychoeducation perspective that there are no tests for some of these things.
This is the thing. Yeah.
Long COVID, there is no objective test. There's no test for ME, is there? They are real. There is currently no test for them.
Yeah, and the long COVID clinics, most of them are closed down now, so there aren't any in my area, which means that I've been referred to a fibromyalgia clinic, because that's all they've got in this area. So yeah, I don't know how that'll go, but we'll see. But I'm presuming it'll be similar treatment for all of them. I don't know.
I have a lovely friend, Hillary, who works in and she's helped us a lot as well in the area of chronic fatigue, and I know from speaking to other people as well that because of the lack of those long COVID clinics, people are being sent to whatever there is locally. Now, we don't have a chronic fatigue service in Sandwell, but there is a rheumatology. But I think what's interesting is you had a really good GP, didn't you? Because often when you go to a GP with the symptoms of burnout, they just say depression. You've got no energy, you're sleeping more.
Actually, when I look throughout my life, I've had periods where I've hit that brick wall and haven't been able to work, but I've been signed off with anxiety and depression and took antidepressants for it. And actually, this is the first time ever, and this will sound ridiculous, but I normally leave the job that I'm in because I think, well, it's not fair for them to be paying me to be off sick, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to come back. I might never be able to come back. So it's better if I just leave, and then I leave and I'm off work and I can't work and I've got no money at all. Yeah. So this time I have stayed in work, but I'm coming to the end of, my sick pay. So I do need to look at going back because we're not in a great financial position. We're going to have to sell the house this year. And so there's those pressures as well. But and I started having therapy actually through the NHS, which I've been waiting for ages. And I know this will resonate with a lot of you, but I felt really good the one day, and they weren't really helping me that much. I was getting lots of comments like, it's not just autistic people that struggle with stuff like this, don't you? And I was like,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I never suggested that it was because of my autism. I'm just talking about. Anyway, so I think it was my third appointment, and we hadn't really done anything. And then she did this whole questionnaire. They do like a questionnaire where it's, has anything we talked about today, will it affect your sleep? And we hadn't talked about anything. We hadn't done anything. So all of my answers were no, nothing we've said today is going to make me anxious. I mean, I'm anxious all the time.
Yeah,
I feel low,
anyway.
But nothing we've said today affects that. So then she was like, well, your scores are all brilliant.
Did you say you're not that important to me? You can't have an effect on me because I will not think about you in any way. That's kind of asking that question suggests the therapy's worked before you've checked it works.
Yeah, it's really weird.
No, No, because this was nothing at all. That's why.
Yeah,
I watched
exactly.
Mr. Ben earlier, and that also won't have an effect on me.
Yeah. So my scores were great, and she said, "Well, you're doing really well. Look at your scores.
Fucking
What
hell.
do you want to? Do you think you need to carry on with these sessions?" And I was like, "No, I'm doing great now, thank
Because
you."
it's implied, isn't it?
Yeah, and discharged
Jesus.
myself, and then immediately, obviously, fell into a deep depression and thought, "Why did I discharge myself?" But that's, the way I was feeling then is the way I always feel. So yeah, it's been pretty shit. That's about all of my shit things, I think.
Do you know what therapy it was? Was it CBT or something else?
No, it wasn't. It was an specified talking therapy. Sorry, my brain works really slowly. Yeah,
that's what they referred to it as.
No, I just didn't recognise
they weren't clear on. So the therapist didn't say I'm going to use X or
no.
Wow.
And they didn't know anything about ADHD or autism either, so it wasn't.
Flip.
Was this through IAPT, the self-referral scheme?
No.
Or were you referred by your GP?
No. Oh yeah, sorry. I should have said when I got my autism assessment, they recommended lots of things for me, none of which can be funded and done on the NHS. So the only thing was, refer her to be assessed by your local mental health service because I think she needs support. And so they assessed me and said, yeah. And I actually thought I was doing all right when they assessed me, but it came out that I did.
Come on.
Because compared to normally, I thought I was doing all right.
What?
But it turns out I wasn't. I scored pretty high for anxiety and depression and that kind of thing. Yeah, so I got referred.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you tell me about the coming out of this? Because what's traditional and famous about both long COVID and burnout, and we use burnout. We've talked about how it isn't a medical thing like RSD, but it's so common that we talk about it scientifically. But at the moment, that's probably we're over egging the science pudding a bit. Anywho, people don't notice that they're starting to come out of it because it's so slow, like the opposite of boiling a frog.
Yeah,
and
it's
is that something you've noticed? Is it increasing by minutes or not at all, or what's going on?
No, it's not linear at all, which is disappointing because I just thought I would gradually get better.
Yeah.
And I do for a little while, but then because I'm still learning, right? I'm still learning. I didn't realize that everything I do takes energy. And so there's lots of things that I do without counting them in my pacing and then wonder why I'm exhausted already. And
even nice things.
Yeah, like recording this podcast fucks me. Like yesterday, I couldn't move all day afterwards, and visiting my family who I love completely drains me.
Then why did you say you hated them before we started recording?
Oh shit. Oh, that's because I need to ring the GP at 8 a.m. I will I know. I will just ring them and stay on the line. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so it's not linear. So and because I'm still learning about what takes up a lot of energy and what kind of doesn't, sometimes I overdo it without realizing I'm overdoing it, because they're all things that I enjoy and need because it makes me feel connected to people and I get a lot from it. Even, every text message, every email takes me so long to think about what I'm going to say. And even driving, I hadn't realized that you're thinking all the time and processing information all the time. It's really, really exhausting. All of these things are just, really exhausting for me. And I hadn't kind of thought about that. I'm really grateful that I got into crochet just before I hit that brick wall, because it's been the only thing I can do, really. And I'm really grateful that my brain hasn't gone off it yet, because although my wrist's fucking killing.
What do we think neurologically, James, about crochet's a task, but it's an apologies to physicists. It gains energy motivation, but most things don't. How do we? Is it the physical like exertion? Crochet, your heart rate doesn't go up, and there's no rules and no expectations. The productivity isn't measured, so it doesn't. Is that why it doesn't have the same effect as a different task like answering texts and things? There's an expectation there, isn't there?
For me, remember, I'm autistic as well. for me, the repetitiveness is key.
Yeah.
If I can do something which is boring and repetitive, my brain really likes that. And I discovered actually that my brain can't do a lot of things, but it can do things like logic puzzles really quickly.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, that.
If anyone likes logic puzzles, there's a puddles. Fucking hell, James. If anyone likes logic puddles, there's a really good book called Myrtle, which Sam hasn't engaged with whatsoever since I bought it when she was in burnout. Yeah. And of course,
that was a bit too much for me, but I will get to it at some point. But the good things are that I've learned loads. I've learned so much, not just about burnout, but about
There's actually a section about the good things.
Oh, I thought you're onto that. I'm sorry.
No. What we'll do now is take a quick break and come back, and immediately you can start saying that again. So we'll see you in a bit.
Sorry.
Logic puddles.
Alex, hi.
Aight. What's up? Hello, Governor.
Welcome back to part 2, which Sam obviously already started in part 1, and she is still waiting online with the GPs to try and speak to them. So God knows what's going to happen this part. But anyway, in this second part of episode 182, how are you? Really, Sam? We're going to talk, possibly the shortest ever section on this podcast, about the good things. What went well in the last year? What are the positives, Sam?
I think there are lots of good things that have come from this, actually, to be honest with you. I've learned loads about burnout and things like chronic fatigue and about pacing and so much. And I've learned a lot about myself and what like the early signs are for me, and to try and stop this from happening again, because I don't want it to happen again. And I think that I've learned lots to help other people about this as well. And I really want to, I guess as well, what's good is that I've been forced to do things like get a cleaner, which probably I needed to do a long time ago because I didn't have time to do the cleaning, even though I could do it myself. Even though it's difficult having somebody in the house, but I was forced to stop work as well. And it made me see that for so long I'd been carrying on and thinking that I had to do all these things and I was essential, and then I couldn't do them and everything still carried on. You know, I didn't have that big an impact, I don't think, on the charity or the podcast or work or you know, all of the things that I do all still carried on. And that's really good for me to see, because I wouldn't have been able to do this before I hit that brick wall. I think there's no way that even though everybody was telling me that this was coming and they were telling me that I needed to set boundaries and do less, I just couldn't see any way out of it. And
Did you believe them?
So deep. Yes.
So you were just waiting for it to happen and it did?
Yeah.
Ouch. It's really tough.
Yeah. I think I knew it was going to happen, but I wanted to try and get as much done as I could before it happened.
Amazing. That is
what I always do.
Unbelievable.
This wasn't the first time I hit a brick wall, but this is the longest it's taken. And I think that's why the COVID has made it. So I kept hitting a brick wall throughout the year, but I'd get back up and carry on.
It feels like you're saying, I know the dam might burst at some time, so I really need to carry on smacking it with a hammer more before it bursts. That is brilliant.
I didn't think about the impact on me. I just thought I need to do as much as I can for all of these other people and all of these other things.
Yeah.
That was my thought process.
As a bystander, it's been interesting for me to see the change, because particularly the year that led up to this, you know, seeing and hearing the stress, you know, the tics, seeing the incredible amount of work that you were doing and the inability to disengage with that. But I can now see that I think you finally understand that if you don't change anything, nothing's going to change. You could be like this and you have to change. And it is a powerful realization, isn't it?
Yeah, it's shit and I hate it, but there's nothing I can do about it. So I need to learn from it. And
have you thought about writing for Clinton's cards?
No.
Shit It's shit and I hate it, but there's nothing you can do about it. Life,
So
it ends in death.
There's I talked about it, I think, in my episode, because obviously I'm still trying to make this about me, about how I'd like to do something outside my comfort zone. I think that's a positive. You, Sam, gave a productivity workshop with me. I'll keep talking because it looks like she's now talking to the GP. I'll mute her as well, so you can't hear her conversation. Fucking hell.
Your call is important to us.
Yeah, Sam joined me for a productivity workshop for a Seed Talk Summit. And obviously she was really nervous. And obviously I didn't show her the slides until 3 days before, because I just thought, oh, it'll be fine, which is how I work, not how Sam works. But it went really well, apart from the fact that after the first session, I had to pull Sam to one side. Bear in mind that I'm, relatively well known for having a potty mouth. Yeah. I had to pull Sam to one side, and so that was really good. If you could just say fuck a little bit less, because there were points where she was. Yeah, I had to say that. There were points where she said fuck 3 times in one sentence.
Wow.
This is a fucking nightmare, and people, we're all loving it, but I was thinking, I'm not sure Seed Talks are. And it's difficult when you've got to deliver that kind of feedback and say that was really good. Just maybe tone down the fucks a little bit the second time we did it, which she did, to her credit. But that was really pushing herself outside of her comfort zone when she was in the earliest stages.
She's back.
Oh, hang on, she's muted. I muted her.
Sorry. So sorry.
Could you mute her more?
Yeah, more. I can mute you as well.
So I've got a question about the thing you've learned about I have to do that and I should do that you always felt, and it's something I've reflected before, but I have RSD about anything with telling people what to do. But often when you were telling me things about the charity before burnout, I remember saying our job's to protect the charity here, and we have to try and stop you from doing everything. And I felt terrible saying it. I don't know if you remember. Firstly, Sam, it's not all about autism. You've neither mentioned or said it is, but non-autistic people do that too. I'm pretending to be your therapist there.
Joke, yes.
I've got a vegan friend who literally never says it, never mentions it. Phil, you know him well.
Is it me? Oh, no.
No, it's not. He actually is a real one. And I don't know. But he never mentions it. But every time I see him, I bang on about how he never shuts up about it. And like criticizing you for talking about autism is exactly like that. It's so in our culture, and it's a load of old.
And actually, I'm really, because I learned quite early on in my diagnosis that if I started things by saying because of my ADHD or mentioning ADHD or then later autism, people immediately, I could see that because we get really in tune, don't we, to how people feel. And I could see that they didn't like that. Whereas if I just talk about my symptoms and not mention why they happen, people are much more open to discussing it and sharing that they struggle with the same kind of things. And then at a later point, I can kind of mention that, oh, did you realize that those are symptoms? But I have to do it that way around. So I'm really careful, even like in Instagram posts and stuff. I don't really talk about my ADHD and autism a lot. It's just talking about the symptoms that I have.
I think that's really interesting. That's why we call it the thing often, isn't it? Because we get bored with saying it, essentially. Sometimes I get the letters mixed up when I'm excited. So ADHD, I wouldn't know. People in my family are autistic as well. And one of the things we say in our family is, when someone says, oh, can you give us that information? It seems really crazy thing to ask for. We have a running gag that, oh, it's not real. It's the head plan. Because we've got a head plan of what's going to happen. The new thing isn't in the head plan. Therefore, it's bad. Even if the outcome is better, the process, everything about it is better. It's not the head plan. Therefore, it's bad. And can I ask you about that? When you said, I had to do that and I needed to do that and the impact would be terrible, and you've realized now it isn't. How can you relate that? What's the longevity of that? Or how are you going to use that going forward to spot it in the future so it doesn't?
Yeah, well, I am I have been writing everything down when I can and I'm trying to make up a workbook that would have been useful for me. earlier on because I want people to have it for free and be able to use it. But obviously I'm not well at the minute, so I haven't been able to do it. And this is the
Well,
thing,
you should feel guilty about that.
Yeah, I don't. And this is the thing, actually. Oh God, what was I going to say?
The workbook, head plan. What
Yes,
do
you really need to do these things when you're well enough to do them,
Yes.
because and it's really difficult because you're in burnout and you want to find out how to get out of burnout, but your head can't cope with reading the things or with even thinking about a lot of things. So it's very difficult to do until you're starting to get better. So ideally, what people need to do is when they're fit and well, think about, what helps them, what gives them energy, what takes energy away from them. And actually, I've started to do a lot of energy audit stuff before I hit the brick wall. And it's been so eye-opening being in this period where I can't do a lot, to see every little thing takes energy from me. Every little thing, even if I don't think it does. Sending a text message takes energy from me. Everything I do does. And I've been really lucky that James is joking that I have to do so much for him. But actually, he was living between here and his mum's house, looking after both of us because I couldn't do anything. He's been cooking, making all of my meals for me, getting me drinks. If without him, I don't know how I would have coped. So I'm really privileged that I have that help.
And that's what we mean by privilege, isn't it? Is to have someone who
Yeah.
cares about you. It's not £1 million. Sorry, Jay.
I think I have probably a role to play in that future, Sam, in that
If you're lucky.
I think, yeah, exactly. Let's face it, anything 4 weeks from now is questionable. Sam said something to me when we went away in December to stay in the woods. Not your woods, Alex, obviously, because we're still alive. She said, sometimes you're scared of me. And I said, obviously, no, of course I'm not. And then thought about it and thought, yeah, no, so I'm not scared of Sam, but I'm scared to say or do something. So, for example, when she was plowing towards that brick wall, because a few times I would say, okay, it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, should we finish and come downstairs? And she wouldn't, or she would react negatively. I stopped saying that. Yeah. But now, having seen the situation she's got into, when she gets back into doing work, I will be more able to say, you have to stop now. And
directive, which is hard.
And directive.
Right? That's not what you do.
It is, but now I know that the consequences of me not doing that could be, what's happened in the last 6 months. Then I kind of don't care if she, reacts negatively or makes me feel bad about myself, because it's for her.
And has Sam given you permission to be directive?
Yeah.
Oh no. Have you?
No,
okay.
I have. We've spoken about this. I know not just James, but people at work as well. I'm going through with my line manager and doing a wellness recovery action plan, because I will need to be held accountable to this. So in this plan, I've said kind of what I look like when I'm well, and then what things look like when I'm not well, and what the warning signs are for people to look out for. And it's funny because James was saying last week about how our burnout can be different and doesn't look like the traditional burnout. But for me, the first warning signs do actually look really positive, because I'm really excited and enthusiastic and want to help everybody and do all the things and be involved in everything, and will volunteer for everything and take more and more on. And I look like I'm having a great time, because I am. But my priorities change. And that's the point where I need to be held back, because all of a sudden I'm not just working so that I can have a good life outside of work. All I want to do is work, whether it's work for the charity, whether it's my actual job, whether it's podcasts, whatever it is. All I want to do is work, because it's so rewarding for me. It gives my brain so much. And so when James at the end of the day, or like 8-9 p.m. is saying, are you going to stop work now? I'm resentful towards him, because I don't want to stop work. I don't want to spend time with him. I don't want to spend time with my friends. I don't want to spend time with my family. I know it's really shit, but I don't. And I feel resentful towards friends and family who are saying, could spend time with me. And all I'm thinking in my head is, what is wrong with you? Why are you not productive like this? Why are you not busy all the time? Why have you got time to spend time with me? That's not right. And instead of thinking that I'm not right, which I'm not, I would think that other people were not right. And this is, I'd spoken about this,
I could see it.
Yeah.
See it in the text you would send me, like late at night or early in the morning. Kind of, why aren't you always working? You know, there's me, look, more fake beer, and I would hide my own rest because I didn't want to.
It's bad, isn't it?
RSD.
And I did resent you for having those boundaries that I couldn't put in place, because I didn't see it as, oh, that's good. He's my friend and I love him and he's got good boundaries in place. I saw it as he's eroding my boundaries because the things he won't do, either me or James are going to have to do.
And have to do as well. They need to be done, whatever they are.
I know. And it's so bad. And I'm so sorry for that, because I know that I've been like this, not just with you, but with lots of people, resentful towards anybody that I feel isn't pulling their weight, but actually they're just maintaining the boundaries in the way that I can't do. And now I'm really envious of that and need to learn how to do that. So I'm really grateful though that, sorry.
It was.
I've tried the hand. I've tried all the non-verbal cues I can. And again, now I'm being the fun pig again. But this section's into what went well last year, and we've gone into
that's
description
good though.
This is good.
They're all good things I've learned from those.
Incredibly brave. Can I add? Really brave to say I had behaviours and thoughts that were not healthy for me. And affected people negatively, because I also do, and I have in the past, and I've been where you are, and it's fucking embarrassing to say it out loud, to say it in front of a lot of people.
It is. It's horrible. But and also another good thing I think is only very recently, like maybe this week. I can't remember. I don't know what day it is. Maybe it was last week. It doesn't matter. But I just suddenly thought, I've been waiting for so long. I've been off work for over 4 months now. I don't even know how long. And I've recently had a change of mindset and thought, do you know what? I can't wait forever to get better. I've got to learn to live with the amount of energy I have now and be okay with that, because I might never get better, or it might take me years and years and years to get better, and I can't have my life on hold anymore, which is why I've started recording again and doing little bits of things again, but knowing that this will completely drain all my energy from me and I won't be able to do anything afterwards, and that's okay. I just need to plan for that. And I think that's really it's difficult, but I think I had to learn that, and I've got to learn to live within it.
I'm very sorry.
Go on.
That was me. Go on.
Now I do feel really exhausted and tired, but I get energy from talking to you, so I feel great right now. The minute we stop recording, I will just be like, I can't do anything. And I find that a lot. It's that what do you call it, James?
Post-exertional malaise.
Yeah.
And where are you on? And that's okay, because that's the hard bit, right? Because I say to myself, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, I think I'm doing really well. I wasn't at first, because I've spent so fucking long. This entire time I've been off, I've got more than one channel all the time that is screaming, when are we going to be able to do all the things that we could do again? When can I go and poll? When can I go and do all of the things you used to do? And that's really not fucking helpful.
If you broke your leg, you wouldn't say it.
I know. Well, I know I would. My brain would be screaming, when can you get up and do stuff again?
But
when
can I just be clear, Sam? That's not autism. That's because you're a fucking idiot.
And on that,
got that.
On that, no, we're leaving that in. On that bombshell, Fun Pig is going to try and keep us to time and protect Sam. So we'll take a break, and then we'll come back in part 3 to talk about what Sam thinks might happen in the coming year. So see you in a bit.
Thank you.
No. Welcome back to episode 182 of the ADHD Adults Podcast, part 3, the third of our special Get to Know Us Again in the series called How? Are You Really Sam? How you meant me to read that out. Also, don't do Native American impressions. I've learned that. It's cultural appropriation. Right, part 3. In the final part, we did good bits and the bad bits and the good bits. What do you hope, Sam, for this final part might happen this year that will be different for you and for the ADHD community? Keep it light, love. No, not really. It's not a thing. It's a mental health.
Yeah, it's difficult for the ADHD community. Things are going to get more difficult. I know that, but I hope that more people will come together to support one another, because let's face it, we can't really rely on, medical professionals to help us a lot of the time, and it's really sad, but it's true. And so we've got to support one another, I think, and help one another to come up with strategies and hold each other accountable and try different ways and things, because we know that we have to change them all the time, which is so fucking exhausting. And share ways that
Sam, when you say hold each other accountable, do you mean to self-care and to like protecting ourselves?
Yeah,
because that's such an interesting way of phrasing it that I'm going to steal it, because accountability doesn't work in many ways for ADHD, does it? But accountability for doing what we say we're going to do to advocate for ourselves is a different form of accountability. I really like it. I'm going to nick it.
Yeah, and there are lots of people, when I go back to work, I know there are lots of people that are in a really similar position to the one that I was in, and I want us to buddy up and be able to hold each other accountable and say, should we go for lunch today? Should we have a break today? Shall we stop at a reasonable time today, and make sure that we all do that, because we need to look after one another.
Yeah.
And not just people with ADHD, but lots of people, struggle with this. So am I internalizing what my therapist has said to me? Obviously, as I said that, I thought, why are you saying that? So I'd really like us to help each other like I do. I started a stretch session on our Patreon because I wanted to stretch every morning. This is ages ago, before I hit the brick wall. And I knew that by doing it for other people, I knew I wouldn't be able to stretch every morning for myself. But if I put on a stretch session, we'd be able to do it together. Now, while I've been off, all we do is sit in bed chatting to one another, and everybody else is in bed. But it's a really nice kind of start to the day. There's no stretching going on at all. And actually in body doubling, if I join, I'm crocheting or just like watching something on the TV or something like that. And lots of people, which is really nice, will use the body doubling sessions not to get things done, but to have somebody to hold them accountable. So they'll say, I need to rest during this, so I'm going to do this hobby. And resting is the thing that I actually struggle to do. So I'm going to use body doubling for that, which I think is really, really good. Because
that had never occurred to me.
Yeah.
I struggle with rest as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us do, right? Restlessness is a big thing.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me to use it for that.
Yeah. And when I do my pacing, I don't just set a timer for whatever I'm doing, the activity. I'll set a timer for the rest afterwards as well, to make sure that I have enough, because I know that for example, if I do half an hour of just light admin on the computer, a couple of emails or whatever, because it takes me a while to do them, I'll then have half an hour of crochet, or just mindlessly scrolling on my phone, or wandering around the garden, or whatever, because I know I won't rest enough.
Are they different forms of rest? I find mindlessly scrolling doesn't rest me, but doing
it depends
physical
what
things
I need
does.
at that time. And this is what I'm learning as well. There are so many different types of rest. We think, rest means that we must be lying down. Well, no, you might need to move. You might need to interact with people, because you haven't had any social interactions that day. That could be your rest. It might be that you need to run around the garden or roll down a hill. You've got to do whatever your body needs, and that's really difficult because we're not very good at checking in and working out what we need, but we need to find a way to get better at that. And something else that I've been doing as well is I'm not very good at knowing what emotions I'm feeling, but I know how my body feels, and so I can look up then, and I'm trying to compile a little list of this. Okay, so my heart's beating really fast and my stomach's sore. What could that be? And I'll look up what those emotions could be, because I'm trying to build a little table of, this is how my body feels. These are the emotions that could be.
James, please take a photo of the list, because I will bet my third arm that it's just a list with fizzy written on it 17 times.
Fizzy?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're not very... your next
don't.
time you can often manifest with very odd descriptions of physical sensations, which is why it's often hard to diagnose things in you, because you might go in and just say like, oh no, my inside feels slightly twisted and to the left, and it's difficult. Isn't
Do
it?
we need a better word for rest? Because what you're describing is so accurate, but almost like like recharging more than rest or something.
I think it's more about balance.
Rest for us is a task, but for many of us, if you're hyperactive and internally driven, then trying to see it as a task where the aim or the goal is that I will spend that time resting and recovering is what we kind of have to do, but most of us don't. Sam and I were talking about this last night when it comes to evening engagement in activities that can help the domestic anxiety, he tries to say politically, and accepting that at the minute it's kind of okay, because when everything's shit, and it is shit at the minute, trying to stop doing something that actually helps you deal with the not doing stuff in the evenings is a fucking stupid idea right now.
I get asked about this, obviously, as an addict, as somebody that's sober, I get asked a lot, and one of the questions I get asked is vaping bad? And it's relative. This is relativistic physics in addiction. Is it worse than not vaping and being happy? Yes. Is it worse than smoking? No. Much better. And if you're doing something
worse than me lying here wanting to kill myself?
Exactly. No. And that's it. It's similar in the trans debate, isn't it? Yes, the changing genders has risks associated, but if the alternative is suicide, then fuck it out. This is so important that we understand relativistic medicine. I think you've hit the nail on the head. Again, I'm annoyed with this. Can we go back to me just taking the piss?
She's getting. This is the weird thing. She's getting better as the podcast kind of ages, and I think we're getting. Well, I'm definitely getting worse.
Yeah, we know we are.
I have definitely learned a lot, and I really want to use that to help other people, because I really get a lot from that.
What about personal view for this year? So what do you want?
No, I was about to ask the same thing, but it's okay. I've not had a chance to fucking ask anything in this episode, so I'm just.
And you put your hands up 4 times. We ignored it.
I'm actually going to mute myself for a bit.
Do you know what? The problem is, you're so lovely, James, that you put your hand up instead of just interrupting like me and Alex do, and it means that you don't get to speak a lot because we just talk.
It's not so lovely. If you remember, probably about 100 episodes ago, we agreed a system of putting your hand up when you want to say something. So I'm just sticking with the agreed system that we sorted out 100 episodes ago. I am not that lovely.
Yeah. For me, I'd like to. I don't have. I mean, I never have any aspirations or goals anyway. I'm not that sort of person. I always think, well, what's the point? I can't ever do anything or achieve anything, so why have goals? Which is not a great state of mind to be in. I know.
Like it.
But yeah, I just think this year I want to set some boundaries and maintain them, which is
James.
Help other people. I'd like to start to gradually, try and do bits of stretching and exercise, because I'd really love to be able to exercise again, because it really helps me. But if I can't get there, then that's fine. I'll do whatever I can do and just go easy on myself, basically. That's my main aim.
Brilliant message. Achievable and realistic, James. Who'd have thought it from Sam?
I know, from Sam. And being the fun pig, I'm going to bring it to an end there to make sure I protect Sam's energy levels. Thank you for that, Sam. I think out of these 3 episodes, it's the one that's most useful and that people will listen to. So that was episode 182 of the ADHD Adults podcast, where Sam told us she's not okay by telling us she's not okay, but that's okay because no one's actually listening. If there are 3 or 4 people who are still listening, then obviously we do, Alex and I still have this book coming out on March 13th, 2025, ADHD Unpacked. And yes,
I tried to translate it yesterday into German.
And on the 11th of March, you've got the live event in London.
Well, James has that I'm invited to.
Are you
coming?
Yeah, no,
No,
I am.
no.
I mean, we're delivering it together,
Oh.
but the advert from Sea Talks, not
It's a-
James from Sea Talks, is a picture
it's
of
a-
James with and Alex at the bottom, and I.
Yeah.
Well, and the book, if you look on Amazon, just says Alex Connor and one other.
Most of the websites say by Alex
Yes,
Connor, which is ace.
Did we ever have a conversation about who went first? Because I don't
No.
get RSD about that, so I didn't care. Did you?
No. No, I didn't. I assumed it would be kind of alphabetical surnames, but
Yeah,
it
I
didn't really
did as
matter
well.
to me. Yeah,
Well, we'll swap it for the next one.
exactly. Right. On that note, we'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye all.
Trigger warning, klaxon. Klaxon, 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 big klaxon. No. Trigger warning, klaxon. Klaxon, klaxon.
I was trying to make a toy recently and I wanted a pair of eyes with eyelashes on them. And somehow, I don't know how, but I ended up just ordering one pair of eyes with eyelashes on them. And they came all the way from Australia. And I don't know how much I paid for postage or why I just ordered one pair or why I didn't notice that they were coming all the way from Australia, because I don't like doing things like that to the planet. I prefer to buy local, but I don't know why I didn't notice that it wasn't local. And I just bought one pair of eyes all the way from Australia and had them shipped here, and it would have cost me way more for postage than it did for those one pair of eyes, and I don't even like them.